If you're watching this video with a mindset like, I have already decided to buy and I'm going to go ahead, then whatever I'm going to say right now is going to feel completely negative. But if you're in a mindset right now to take it, say, all right, I want to listen what this person says, and even if it is negative, I'm prepared to listen to it, then this possibly might save you years worth of headache and possibly save you lakhs of rupees as well. What if I told you 2026 is the worst year as an NRI to invest in properties in India, but also the best year for an NRI to invest if you know what to avoid and what to look out for? As an NRI, we are always emotionally driven when you're making a high value purchase, and we don't tend to apply logical side to it. We are emotionally driven by our parents' advices saying to invest in property in India. You look at your peers who are actually buying the property in India, and you're constantly flooded with information online to tell you that India property is growing, always going up in value. And you also think it's India, for God's sake. It is going to go up. The population is growing enormously. So my investment is eventually definitely is going to go up in value. And these are the thoughts that'll drive most of the NRIs to lose a ton of money. And in this video, I'll give you the real truth, the truth that your brokers or estate agents don't want to tell the NRIs. And it's definitely not something that your parents would actually tell you either. So stick around and I'll break it down completely, which will tell you whether to invest, avoid, or postpone your purchase. If you're new to the channel, my name is Will. I do NRI specific content, finance related content for folks like you and me who are living abroad to build that financial freedom. So if you enjoy these kind of content, click that subscribe button so that you get notified every time a new video is dropped, which always happens to be on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m. UK time. So let's go. Here's the truth, which most of the NRIs always tend to hear. The property prices are going up all the time. It is India and it is booming. That is true, but it only applies to the top cities. Cities such as Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad. These are the cities that you see constant property prices going up. But when it comes to tier 2 and tier 3 cities, most of the prices are either flat or hasn't appreciated in years. Most of the NRIs are emotionally driven to actually invest into those kind of tier cities. As a 2026 rule, you don't want to be investing in a city which doesn't have any growth. When it comes to growth, you need to be looking at the job market. You need to look at how the population is moving towards. Cities such as Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, and Hyderabad, and all of those things are constantly attracting talent from across India. So people tend to flock to that city, and some people tend to make their base over there. When they make their base and they decide to stick around in that city forever, that becomes a magnet for your investment, which can actually give you a higher return when it comes to selling the property. Make sure you're not looking at the tier 2 cities where the prices are flat, fundamentally driven by emotions. Don't go into cities and invest in those kind of markets, because you're sure to lose money, or rather you'll never see capital appreciation or a steady income of rent. In 2026, you will see a flurry of properties coming on the market as investment opportunity for NRIs. But you have to clearly watch out for what you're getting into. Between 2025 and 2026, there was a flurry of new projects that was actually introduced in India. There's exorbitant amount of flats and investment properties that are currently vacant right now or coming up to the finishing line. Basically, it's ready to move in, kind of a flats. These flats are going to come into the market in 2026, attracting mainly focused around NRIs living abroad. If you watch out, or if you see these property mailers that's happening in your country or your locality, if someone puts up a tent to sell these properties to you, to entice you and tell you how attractive these things are, have a word of caution with you, because you need to be asking them a lot of questions in terms of what is the status of the property, have you got a video of what the construction looks like, what the actual flat looks like, has this property been occupied, what is the occupancy rate of this particular project. You need to ask all of these questions. And the most important part that you need to remember If a builder is constantly chasing you to sell something, that means the property hasn't got much attractive buyers. That is an opportunity for you to consider whether you should be really putting your money, your hard-earned money, into those kind of investment, or you should take a word of caution from that kind of approach from the builders and say, hey, you stay where you are, my money stays with me, and I'm not touching you until I see something real, concrete proof of growth. Owning a property in India and managing it from abroad, 6,000 miles away, would feel like as if you have two different lives and you're living in two different time zones trying to manage this. As an NRI property owner, you're constantly being chased by your tenants to get certain things repaired. When the tenants vacate, you have an empty property for months because you're searching for another tenant to actually move into that property. Constantly upkeeping the property because making sure that they actually look and nice and presentable for you to advertise these things into the market so that you can attract some tenants to move into those properties. These are a constant exercise that you need to follow. Most important thing that we as an NRI tend to ignore the fact that is your investment is just yielding you between 1 and 2%, whereas in your opportunity costs are between 8 or 9%. I'm talking about the home loans that you will have to take to buy these properties. At that point in time, you need to think about whether that investment is a right investment or not. As an NRI, if you're not into active management of your secondary property, then this is not something that you should be considering in 2026. And this is something that is most ignored by most of the NRIs. This is to do with all the taxations related things. When you speak to not a qualified person, such as your family members or your relatives, they tend to tell you that hey, no one is going to come and see all of these things. No one's going to chase you for taxes. So don't worry about it. But then you're hit with, boom, text messages from the tax authorities, letters from tax authorities to clear out taxes. These are something that you need to be considering when you're actually getting into buying a property. You need to think about TDSs, you need to think about the capital appreciation or capital gain taxes, and you need to file these returns in India, and you also have to pay taxes on rental income as well. Consider all of those things and make sure you hire yourself a qualified chartered accountant who specializes in NRI specific clients so they know exactly what they're doing. That way you can avoid all of these headaches when you own this property. Buying a property as an NRI in India is the easiest part, but managing this and making sure you have sufficient help and support from qualified people is the hardest part. Make sure you get that so that you don't have to worry about it ever again, because it's all done by qualified individuals. And here's something that I am guilty of as well, and I don't want my personal experience to be your story as well. Here's something that you need to absolutely consider. Never go by nostalgia and buy a property where your hometown is, because you have to remember the fact that, you know, whether if you're buying a property for the sake of investment, if it is for the sake of investment, always target where the market is constantly growing and attracting new talent. The job market is extremely strong, the immigration is very strong as well, infrastructure is growing, and there's constant demand for properties. You want to look at the tier 1 cities such as your Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, and various other cities, because that's where the property is going to give you appreciation, gives you a good steady flow of rental income. Please don't apply emotions on this one and go by nostalgia and buy a property like I did in your hometown, because that's something that's going to give you steady growth of return. It could be emotional, but it's going to be an empty emotional flat that's going to be waiting for your arrival once a year. We come to the all-important question: should I buy a property in 2026 in India? Yes, if you can answer these 4 questions, and if you say yes to all of these, then absolutely go right ahead and buy the property. First one: am I buying a property in a tier 1 cities? Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, Bangalore, all of these cities, because you want to check and make sure that the city is growing and attracting new talent every year, and there's a high demand for rental property. Second one, you know exactly how the property will be used, whether it is a rental or whether it's going to be for your parents. If it is for your parents, then it absolutely makes sense. You need to buy where your parents feel comfortable to live. So if the answer is yes for that one, absolutely go right ahead. Third, do you have sufficient resource in place to manage your property? Who's going to be managing this property? Whether it's going to be a reputed estate agent or your spouse or family members or relatives that you really trust. I don't personally recommend trusting family members to take care of your asset because don't get me wrong, everybody is busy, and especially people in India, they are absolutely busy, so they do not have time and energy to do things for yourself. Make sure you have found someone like your parents or your spouse to take care of this property, or a reputable estate agent whom you trust. And finally, are you in for a long haul? Are you committed to holding on to this property for 10 to 12 year period of time to see it grow to something substantial? If you are in for a short period of time, say 2 to 3 years, then this is not the right place for you to put your hard-earned money. Because as I said, the rental yield is low, your home loans are very expensive. When you convert these cash from a stronger currency to a weaker currency, and then trying to take this money back to a stronger currency, you're not going to make any returns from this investment. If the answer is no for this one, don't buy it. But if the answer is yes, I'm okay to hold on to it for 8 to 12 year period of time, absolutely, that gives you your answers. So all these 4 questions should give you a definitive answer in terms of what you need to do, whether you should buy, avoid, or postpone. If the answer for all of these 4 questions is yes, 2026 is perhaps the best time for you to buy the property. So 2026 shouldn't be a year for you to invest and regret forever. It should be a year where you make a smart decision driven by data and facts. That way you're well informed and you're in for a long run to own this asset and call it your investment in India. If you found this video useful, check out my other 2 videos that I've made specifically about NRIs investing in properties. And if you like what I make here, please do subscribe, as I drop a new video every Sunday at 9 AM UK time. Hit that notification button as well so you're notified as soon as something new is dropped. Until then, take care.